Your host, Derek Pearson, presented by Beatrice Bakery on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Let's get to it. Let's get to it on a Thursday, one-on-one. On Thursdays, brought to you by Beatrice Bakery. Special features on Thursday. The Barry Thompson Hour, brought to you by Ambition Electric. Wonderful folks at Ambition Electric. Joe Davis and company. Find them, call them. Do so now. Why? Because they allow us to bring the next guest to spend time with us. He's busy, and amongst his busy day, he has time for us, and it's greatly appreciated. So, 402-464-5685, Starter Heyman text line, Honda Lincoln hotline. The video streams are up, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and drumroll, Twitter Live. Twitter Live. It's on the Twitter. The Twitter. So let's bring him in appropriately.
The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head, and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold. And the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
Glorious. Spectacular. It's the only way to do this. Bring him in. Football coach, life coach, best friend, pal, dad, QB, Barry Thompson.
What up, DP?
What's happening, Barry Thompson? What's up, bro? What's happening?
Just got off the field. I'm sitting here in the parking lot, ready to talk to you for a while.
It's appreciated because you get to help us reset the GPS, to reset the direction of thought and conversation. We're going to get into some silliness. So right off the bat, Slurpees or ices or snow cones?
No, DP, you know where we're from.
Right.
Right. It's Slurpees, man. I mean, Slurpees in the summer. It was so funny. We had a hot, kind of like a summer day. Spring is still fighting, but we had a kind of summer-like day. And the first thing I did, I said, man, I need to go 7-Eleven.
Like it's a thing, right? And
yeah,
I thought immediately, like, man, you know what? I'd love to have a Slurpee machine at the station.
Yeah.
But then I thought that might not be a good idea.
Well, it depends on whether you make it a margarita machine or not.
Because it would, right?
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that, practically speaking, there's some maintenance involved with those machines. My dad owned a roller rink. He had the icing machine, and that there's some maintenance involved. So if you get it, make sure you got the maintenance covered.
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of it, right? That we need to be Now. You bring up your dad and the roller skating ring. Do you remember where what's the facility that you skated at here in Lincoln?
In Lincoln, it was the Persian Auditorium. The headquarters for kind of it was a big amateur sports, so the ROSRA, I think, and then something called USAC. I think they were both located in Lincoln. And then the idea, because at the time in 60s, 70s, in early 80s, there was an amateur sport. There was this attempt to kind of hold the national championships toward the center of the U.S. So the time I was skating, all the national championships either took place at Pershing Auditorium in Lincoln or Will Rogers Coliseum in Fort Worth, Texas.
How did you do here?
I think I did well. I forget where I actually won the national championship. So in my career of skating, I skated both on the artistic side, which was the figure skating, the dance and the pairs and all that stuff. I played hockey when I was little, and then I also skated on the speed side. My first 2 championships were on the speed skating side, and I'll have to look up whether it was Pershing or whether it was Will Rogers. Finished first 1 year and then moved up a class, finished second. And then after that, my figure skating career took over. And then right as I was graduating high school, I placed third in what they call the Junior Men's International competition, which was one level below the seniors. And that the significance was at the senior level, that third place finish would have qualified me for a world championship team. But at that point, because I'd been doing everything up into 12th grade, at that point, football took over. And you head into college. I was still a knucklehead. So I went to college. I wrestled and played football for the first year. And after that first year of wrestling, I said, you know what? I don't love wrestling like that. So finally in my career, for the first time in college, I was down to one sport. I had competed in 8 different sports coming up. And I always quiz people. They can never get it right. They usually miss the gymnastics because I did gymnastics at one point. But yeah, finally when I got into, after my freshman year, I was finally down to one sport, which was football. It's just time.
Well, the first college stop, you think as you travel around the country that you have a pretty good feel for what a place is. And a lot of the recruiting decision or the decision on where to go to school comes from a visit. What led you to your first stop, your first collegiate stop?
Well, I don't remember what order they were in, but I remember, so I was a tweener. And so there were some Division I schools that were considering me. I remember I took an official visit to Virginia Tech. Mm-hmm. That Virginia Tech, by the way, for all your listeners, is not the top 10 Virginia Tech. It was a different program at that time, mm-hmm. but it was still, Division I program. So Tech was one of them. I think of all places, I used an official to Johns Hopkins, mm-hmm. and then one to Davidson. So 2 Division I schools, 1 Division III, and didn't really know what I was going to do, and had used up my officials. I really wanted to get into Brown for some reason. I've been put on the wait list at Dartmouth, and for Brown, for me, was a school that I just wanted to go to, and I didn't get in. And one day, Mr. Passati, he called me to the office. I met a coach named Coach Aldridge, and Coach says, I want you to speak to this guy. So he started talking. We went to Washington Lee High School, and he starts talking to me about Washington Lee University. And I was like, well, whatever, but I've used up my 3 visits. And he says, well, we have this thing called the General Fund, and it's a fund that targets 50 people out of the class if they want to come in. And it's just like an official recruiting visit. They pay your way there and, meals and, all that stuff. So I made them pay. I could have driven 3 hours, but I drove to the National Airport, called a plane down to Roanoke, had them pick me up and drive me to Lexington.
Right.
And it was on that visit that I just got this vibe from the campus and the guys that were playing football. The team wasn't very good, but I just got this vibe that everybody there kind of cared about what they were doing. And to go back for your listeners, I had come through a high school experience, which was pretty good, but not quite as good as it could have been because there was a little bit of apathy with some of the football players. They didn't like it the way I liked it. As many guys didn't like it the way I liked it. Mm-hmm. And I thought we fell short. And one of the things when I was looking at Davidson and considering that versus Washington Lee was they had a bunch of guys that were recruited just like I was. Like he was recruited by Florida State, and he was at Davidson. Recruited by Notre Dame, and he was at Davidson. So I'm like, okay, that's cool, but why are you here? And they couldn't really answer that. And I go, I'm not getting in with a bunch of guys that don't know why you're not here.
Right.
So I chose Washington Lee, which seems like an odd choice in today's environment where everything was, everything is Division I, right? But I wanted to be at a place where academics were important and being good at football was important. That was very attractive to me. And I made the right choice. For for a couple of reasons. I made the right choice because that team that wasn't any good went on my sophomore year to win a conference championship. First they'd won it since 1960 something. And after my sophomore year, my AD called me because there was another AD calling around looking for defensive backs. And he says, I've got a guy here who can play. And so I contemplated leaving Washington League at that point for Division I. But then I said to myself, well, if I was Division I kind of, in the beginning, that school was taking a look at me. Now I'm here going into my third year, and now Division I's calling me. Evidently, I'm good enough to play Division I. So why don't I just stay here with the guys I'm doing it with? And if I want to do anything after, I obviously have the talent to do it. So I'm glad I stayed. And the value of me staying and the value of that choice, although I was always proud of it, really hit me probably about 10 years ago when the teammates started connecting up again, and it was amazing, what they were doing and that I was part of this family. I'd been a part of the family all along. I just didn't know it. And so when those coaches talk about 4 years for 40, it's actually true if it's good. And I wouldn't change a thing. It was a great experience.
What makes it a great experience? Because that's the part that when transfer portal, portal conversations happen, they miss, like people gloss over the fact that the experience is the important thing, right?
The experience and the journey is the thing. I'll try to draw an analogy. There's a good piece of wisdom that says that you shouldn't do things ever for just because of money, and you shouldn't double negative here. Should never not do something just because of money. Mm-hmm. So to draw the analogy, make it analogous to what I was doing. I didn't do anything just because of Division I, right? And I shouldn't not have moved just because of Division I. I stayed because that school and that environment had what I wanted, which is I wanted good academics and I wanted guys that were serious about football. So it was easy for me to say that this is what I value versus, running around saying I was Division I. I didn't worry about the competition level. I'd always in the summer, had the chance because of our area to run across, Eric Sievers or some guys going to Notre Dame. That was not hard for me to extract. So for me, it was the experience, and ultimately, I was too young to understand it. But I had some wisdom injected into me that it was the right thing to do, and it had to do with the people. We had coaches that cared, and they were characters. And matter of fact, I'm getting together with 3 of the buddies from that class Saturday. They just reached out, kind of like us, hadn't talked in a year, and says, "Hey, we're getting together. Could you come on?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can make it work." And there's places in this country. If I was to go to Dallas right now, there's at least 3 people I can call like right away, and they're like, "Hey, why aren't you at the house right now?" And these are guys I haven't seen since I left school. And it's just the way it is. I can go to Mass, and I know there's a couple of people I can call there. I can go down to Delta, Mississippi, and John McKee will say, "Come on over," and it's just the way that it is. So it's the value of it is tremendous.
That's the good stuff. Talking to Barry Thompson, and Coach, this thing with transfer portal and the like, I want to remind folks. I mean, the difference between who people are at 17 versus when they are at 19 versus when they are at 21. The value of student athletes to themselves, to the community, to the universities, and to the programs changes with the young people we're talking about. Right? We're asking people to make decisions at 17 that commit them for the next 4 years, not knowing who you're going to be or what you're going to become, and then commit to that for 4 years as though you're fully formed at 17 years old. And that you also have the resources to make that kind of decision that will affect the next 40 years of your life. Are we losing focus?
Well, there's two sides to the realm. One is the general kind of looking at it from the outside, and what's causing all this, and there's all that conversation. But I want to give you, and so we can all have that conversation again. The coaches making money, the players are changing, their commodities. That's another whole conversation. But I'm gonna give you one that maybe young people should consider, and this comes from me coaching quarterback. The quarterback position, they're trying to become one. At all the other positions on the field, if you think about it, there's multiple chances for you to get on the field. There's a rotation of running backs sometimes. There's definitely a line rotation on both sides of the ball. There's multiple linebackers, and if you switch schemes and you can substitute situationally, and multiple defensive backs and packages that can go in, plus special teams, there's even kickers, right? You can have a punter, a long, and long snappers, right? First short snaps, all multiple opportunities. The quarterback is just one. And so the other thing I want to bring to this is people jumping in and out of the portal is there is a value to staying where you are and fighting your behind off to earn what you want. There's a value to that, right? And some of that value, whether it's worth it to you, has a lot to do with the environment that you're in, right? So I've had two quarterbacks there that, and that they're getting close to getting their times on the field, but they've had to fight through, right? This kind of working without knowing where the light, if there was light at the end of the tunnel. But now they're literally both a snap away, and certainly a year away from being the guys. And they have become different young men through that process. They have become better quarterbacks through that process. And they are fully capable now of taking the keys to the car. Now, hit the rewind machine. If those two had kind of looked ahead and made some assumptions about whether they're going to play the next minute or so, and they checked out and went to different schools, I'm not sure that they would be the young men that they are now. And I'm not sure that they would be as close as they are to maybe playing after college. So there's a lot more to consider than just, am I going to play, right? Because at some point in your life, and this is what we're talking about, football, the best thing about football is always that it's more than just football. At some point in your life, you're going to fight through some crap. And if it's a case of you're just looking for the easy way out, I don't know that there's a lot of value in that. So you got to combine the two and make a judgment.
Yeah, because the other end of the spectrum, and there are several places in between the extremes, but the other end of the spectrum is where you can change your life.
Yeah, right.
Like we're talking about the very nature versus nurture, where making a decision about where you play ball can help your family, your community, and your life going forward as well.
You're exactly right. And let me dovetail. The ability, these two guys, the reason that they've been able to make the decision to stay and fight is because their environment welcomes it. It's not like they're all holding hands. It's still a cold, in one case, right? It's still a cold big business because he's a Big Ten quarterback, right? It's still everything that goes with that program, but there's enough of that environment, enough of what's being preached and practiced that at that tipping point, he said, yeah, I'm going to stay, right? And on the other hand, smaller school, but FCS program, but there's enough of everything else that he likes about the environment, the school, his major, the place where he is, that he'll stay and fight. And the other thing, the third thing, so we have the general conversation, the specific conversation I'm giving. The last component of it, I really think, DT, is that both of these guys are doing this for a bigger reason than themselves. You have to have a bigger, much larger reason than just yourself in order to fight through these things. Otherwise, you just wind up doing things for money, or you wind up doing things just because I want to play. right? Or I don't like a coach, or I chose wrong and I don't like this town, right?
Yeah.
This idea, it was popular a couple of years ago, know your why and all that stuff, but you have to understand, why are you doing this? Like, what is it for? Why are you going to wake up that day and put yourself through this rigorous schedule? One, because you love it, but even when you love things, it can get tough, right? So then why would you keep doing? Where's your patience coming from? Where your patience comes from because it's something really important. I'll quit talking in a second, but imagine a husband and wife. They love each other. There's going to be times over the years where they don't like each other. You know
Right.
what I mean? But what makes them both kind of get through that period? Well, they're together for a much larger reason. Typically a family, or it can be typically for their relationship. They value the relationship more than they value their own individual emotions, and the relationship has value to them. But yeah, if you're going to fight through adversity, you better have a big reason as to why you're doing it.
Yeah, I think that it's missed often that friction is required for greatness to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it just like pressure and friction have to happen, and it doesn't mean a specific type of friction or pressure, but it is required. Like something has to move you and make you uncomfortable, whether it's your place and station in life, whether it's the community that you're in, maybe it's the future, maybe it's you're running from the past, but whatever that thing is, it's required to move you. And I was asked to be a project in a book, and I want to ask you about this when we come back from break, but I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about it. We were asked about the mindset, the mindset of winning.
Yes.
And what that means. And
yes,
as I pondered it, of course, you and I have been in several of those situations, but I want to ask you when we come back from break, the mindset of winning and what it means to you.
Yes.
We'll do that when we come back.
I'll do a tease. It's 3D.
All right,
that's the tease.
That's a good start. We'll be right back with Barry Thompson here on The Ticket.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit OakStreetCarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor at just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
Oak Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Brown Shoe Fit is gearing up for spring with new inventory on the way. They're stocking up on new spring sandals and athletic shoes daily in brands like Brooks, Hoka, Keen, Merrell, On, and many, many more. Browns has the local professionals to get the proper fit, aided by their high-tech foot scanner by Atrax. Spring is the season to be active and busy. Don't let your feet lose their support with old rundown shoes or sandals. Stop by Brown's Shoe Fit today, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Hi, this is Dave Austed from Austed's Golf. Let us make this your best season yet. Voted a top 100 fitter by Golf Digest, our master fitters have been trained by the same guys that build clubs for PGA pros like Rory, Tiger, DJ, and Jordan. Have old clubs? Trade them in Austed's Value Guide, or have our club specialists get your clubs swinging like new. Go to our website and make your fitting appointment. You're a click away from a better golf game. Play better, have fun, and shop Austed's.
The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
Now, this is Omaha South, perennial doormat, and we're in the game at Belton West. And I'll never forget it, cluster takeoff. And I'm like, I got to get it. And I didn't get it. And then the picture that they showed, and it says, Vershawn Jackson chases Cluster Johnson on his way to a 93-yard touchdown scamper.
Weekdays from 11 to 2 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great.
We're definitely coming back in the future. Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
There's not many things worse than having plumbing issues at your home or business, but it's even worse if the problem isn't fixed correctly. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time, and they specialize in several things: general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Spring has arrived. Dust off your clubs and play the city. Lincoln City Golf Courses offer 5 different places to play, including Homes, Pioneers, Highlands, Mahoney, and the par 3 Jim Ager course. Plus, one membership gets you access to all 5 courses, or ask about a discount card that gets you 15% off all rounds. There's also adult classes with lessons for every level with Lincoln City Golf Academy. Learn more about membership and classes today at lincolncitygolf.org.
Mike Schaefer here for Trek CBD. Springtime is here, and that means you're outside more in nice weather and maybe even having garage parties with neighbors. The drink of this spring and summer isn't your typical seltzer. It's drinkable Delta 8. Yep, Trek CBD has drinkable Delta 8 seltzers with mango and lime flavors for 4-packs and 12-packs, coming in a variety of mango, watermelon, lime, and berry. They also have hemp-derived Delta 9 syrups to put in your beverages, and as always, the excellent Delta 8 gummies. Trek CBD, CBD done right.
You're listening to One on One with DP, sponsored by Beatrice Bakery on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to One on One. Again, the hour brought to you by Beatrice Bakery. Barry Thompson's appearance brought to you by Ambition Electric. Thank you guys for doing what you do. Barry Thompson is with us on the Honda Lincoln Hotline, and we're talking about the mindset of winning. And every level has to have some sort of idea of who they are, and the mindset shows up in it. It's the conversations that are had in that space, on that team, in that program, in the locker rooms, on the buses, in the classrooms, and even in the car rides home, right? Things that we can set in place. For you, Barry Thompson, mindset of winning. What is it? What is it?
Well, I call it, we talked about this a little bit, so I came up with something. You have to have discipline. And so under those 3 things comes a lot. You want to dream big because you're about to do something big, which is you're going to change yourself. If you're going to achieve something and you're not there, that you're going to have to transform yourself. And that's a very big thing and tough thing to do. You're also going to have to, and along with dreaming big, like we just alluded to, you better have a big reason for doing it. This idea of dreaming big is something I don't think that we do enough of. But it's really important because from an effort standpoint, some people are fearful to dream big, to say I can be this or do this, or we can win this championship. But you got to realize it takes the same amount of effort to make $1,000 as it does $10,000. It takes the same, to take the same amount of effort. So why not? It takes the same effort to win a game, that goes into winning games each week as it does to win a championship. Mm-hmm. Right? It's just your approach to the whole thing is different. Making a decision, I think, is extremely important. You can dream all you want to, but you've got to make a decision that I am going to do this. And once you commit to doing this, the next thing that you need to do is you need to start seeking out information. You need to get hold of expertise, because you're at point A and you want to go to point B. You need to know how to get there. And so you need to get around people that have been from point A to point B. You can't do this on the one time I was at Elite 11 thing, and George Whitfield, who, was the second. Steve Clarkson was the first quarterback whisperer, and George Whitfield got, he had 7 consecutive first round quarterbacks taken. And George took these quarterbacks aside and he kind of admonished them. He said, don't have skyscraper dreams and have tent, like a T-E-N-T, tent plans.
Mm-hmm.
He says a tent, you want to build a tent, you can go into any REI, buy the tent. There's little instructions there, fold it in the box, and you can pop this tent up in minutes. But if you want to build a skyscraper, you better go find, a guy who can lay the rebar, a concrete guy. You better find a curtain wall glass guy. You better find an architect. You better find somebody who's familiar with the permitting process. You better find the best construction company. You better find a finance guy. You have to brick, all that stuff that goes with that. So once you commit, make a decision and seek out the information you need to get you to that dream. And then the last thing is the discipline. And you've got to commit to showing up every day, and you've got to commit to persisting, no matter what, which is kind of like overcoming adversity, right? But the persisting, showing up every day has a tremendous, tremendous value. It's been said that the richest real estate in the world is the graveyard, because that's where all those people with all those dreams died with them, because they didn't have the discipline, right, to carry it out and see it through. So that discipline, you've got to persist. And another little catchy phrase I love, this showing up every day has a tremendous value. They say in the battle between the rock and the stream,
mm-hmm.
the stream wins by persistence, not by power, mm-hmm. right? That steady chipping away at something, steady each day, moving a little closer. Maybe it might be an inch. Next day it might be 6 inches, maybe a foot, maybe 2 feet one day, back one a little bit, but you keep persisting, keep showing up. So for me, that winning mindset, it starts with that 3D approach, getting the information and just doing this thing every day.
I was asked to write a commencement speech for one of the programs that we were connected to, and I wanted it to be authentic, but I wanted it to be universal, in that it was not specific to teams, but to people, especially to the young people that were going to go out in the world. They were going to leave mom and dad and go out into the world. But I think a lot of the whole thing, the thing that we were using, is what they could use every day, and it's the voice and the conversations in your head. And the focus was 2 words: get up. Get up. Right? That in order for you to do anything from where you are, you have to learn how to, and consistently say to yourself, tell yourself, demand of yourself that you get up, right? You're going to move from mom's house, mom and dad's comfortable house, to being in a college dorm, and you will have to get yourself up. You've got to get up and go get educated. You've got to go to work. You've got to go put in work. You've got to go and meet people. You've got to go get up and get connected. In the sports that you play, you're going to get knocked down. So you better figure out how to get up and get back to work. When you're going to go through struggles, you're going to be put down. Get up. They're going to break up with you. Get up and get back after it. That's the thing that seems to be constant in it, but it's the conversation in your head that matters probably more than anything. The things that you say to yourself, right?
DP, I'm cutting you. I swear to God, you had a microphone on the field today. I just have, I just about what you're saying, and I know. Let's just excuse me. I'm not being rude, but this is kind of how DP and I talk. Like, one of us will say something, I'm like, "Holy crap!" And your brain explodes, and then he'll do it to me from time to time too. It was just related to sports. I have quarterbacks, and they're kind of type A personalities. They want to compete. They want to get everything right. And one of the things I have to do with them is to modulate them. So the ball may not come in exactly the way that they want, but it's on time and it's located in the right spot. And I'll hear, and I'll tell them, don't do that. And they'll look at me funny. And I said, don't do that. I said, because we achieved all the objectives we want to achieve. And then I was just saying this to him, don't do that because your body and your brain will believe what you tell it. And if you told it that was no good, when in fact it was good, Peyton Manning's in the Hall of Fame off of balls like that, then you're kind of setting your own self back in an area where you need to build yourself up. Was just talking to QBs about that.
No, but this is the thing, right? That in a world where everything is microwavable, everything is instant access and instant gratification, that the conversations that people have with themselves, it's the superhero thing that I talked about, that when there are moments when the superhero is always beat down. They're down on the ground, they're in the corner, shoulders are almost wrapped around their chest because they feel defeated. The pressure, the thing, whatever their weakness has been taken advantage of. But there's a moment in superheroes' lives, whether it's parents, coaches, players, bosses, whatever, where you have to take the deep breath, put your hands on whatever you can get, and push yourself up so your back's straight and your chest is out. You gotta get up. You gotta get up,
Right.
and it's constant.
Right, and those moments, DP, that's why stick with your superhero analogy. That's why it's so important, and from my perspective, to have a bigger reason why you're doing that. And the superhero scenario, it's not just because they want to win the fight. They're saving the city. They're ridding. It's good against evil, and they need to get rid of evil. It's something bigger than themselves. There's a little clip from Ali, I think, in the documentary called "When We Were King," and I'll try to find the snippet. But he talks about, they were always talking about, fighting Foreman, he's so much bigger and this and that. And they were asking about it over again. He says, if I just think about, I'm fighting Foreman, and as he's doing this, he's making his body smaller and he's backing away. He said, if I just thinking about me, and he's getting smaller and smaller and backing away. He said, but I'm not fighting just for me. And then he starts getting bigger, and he says, I'm fighting for, the children here, and I'm fighting for the people here, and I'm fighting for this, and I'm fighting for that, and I'm fighting. And he gets to where he's right up on the camera, the lens can't contain him. He says, as long as I'm fighting for our stuff, Foreman can't beat me. Right. I got all that stuff in the ring with me. This idea that you're motivated by something bigger, your family, your team. I always tell players, the smallest big thing that you should be playing for is your team.
Yeah.
That's the smallest big thing.
Yeah.
So if you can start wrapping your heads around that, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's the depth, right? And you say there are people who will take a knee. The reason why you take a knee, you have to get smaller in order to grow. Like you've got to get small in order to stand up. And John Thompson used to talk about it. He said, my opponents are always they're gonna hit rock bottom too, and they're gonna get up. That's how I know. That's why I think of them as a rival, because I know when I get them down, they're gonna get up, and I have to have a plan. He goes, you better believe your opponent, whatever friction you are going to engage, is going to get up. And then what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So through all these programs and these kids who are picking, they're going through their frictions, their battles, they're facing their weaknesses, right? Because all these college athletes know their weaknesses. They know what their coaches say that they need to get better at. They know what their opponents pick on. They know these things. The people who evolve, and we're talking about in transfer portal, sometimes you evolve by going to another place in another space to hear another voice for different words. And it's okay. Like you're allowed, as long as you're trying to go in those two directions, forward and up. That's all that matters.
Yeah, a good example, it's an older example, is Russell Wilson. He was at NC State. And, he wanted to go off and try baseball, came back to play football, and they said no. Right? So, he winds up at Wisconsin. Right? And, he quickly became the captain of that team. Now, somebody just knew walking in to become the captain of a team that he hadn't been with those guys for 3 years. That says something about him. Right? He said something that this was a guy at this point. he was about more than just himself, and that was communicated to teammates. They said, yes, let's give him the C and let's go to the Rose Bowl.
Or Joe Burrow at LSU, or like we can go Baker Mayfield. We can go up and down the list of guys.
Yeah.
Right. Who
Kyler Murray.
Right. Who got up, and it happens in the NFL. We can talk about Matt Stafford and say, listen, this is the beauty of that whole thing is, dude was at the bottom, was taking the beating, took more hits than any quarterback in that 4-year run, and simply said, I'm not done. I need to get better, but I got to fix some things. Now, the universe helps by sending him to L.A. Right, sends him to L.A. But that's like the NFL has been the transfer portal. The NBA has been the transfer portal. Major League Baseball has been the transfer portal. We're just including young people who need that space and access more than the grown-ups.
Yeah, and you look at the NBA, it's a great analogy, right? Because the transfer portal, use analogy, worked out well for LeBron, right? Until he got to LA, until the Nets were put together. Those transfer portals didn't work out too well, right? And then by contrast, right now at seemingly at the top, you have, guys like Steph who stayed, hadn't transferred, and the two young guys at Phoenix who I really like, and this John Morant kid. I mean, I'm really liking the way he plays. But yes, great analysis.
Well, it worked. Look, here's the part, and this is what I say about Nebraska. I say it about colleges who make these decisions: Alabama, Clemson, etc. Even when they go into these transfer portals and they don't get the in-game result, they get the immediate momentum. Like the Brooklyn Nets' value as an organization has almost doubled because of this.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, don't get lost in, they haven't won a title, so this has been a bust. Oh, no. Look, there's certain players you can call a bust all you want, but guess what?
Right.
They got theirs.
Right. Well, there's that too, right? There's the business side of it. Now, I hope your listeners are key, because this is kind of how we talk.
Right.
But go the other side of that. You look at the Heat, right? The environment that they set up. They were good when Pat was coaching. They got Alonzo. They were up there making a run. They get the LeBron thing. They get their championships. LeBron goes, and Eric Spoelstra, who a lot of people won't realize that they were like, who taking over for Pat Riley? And now very quickly they're at the top of the conversation again.
Yep.
Right. So they have that environment that would make people want to stay. Right. Even if they're using the transfer portal. Right now, the difference is Brooklyn, although they got their money right, they don't have that environment that's conducive to winning. Whereas you look at Milwaukee, right, and older listeners can go back when the salaries started climbing. The congressman that was involved, whoever owned the Bucks at that time, says, "Well, they might as well buy the team." And everybody's like the small market teams, and all. Well, suddenly Milwaukee kind of found their formula, right? And in a day and age where their stars could have left, like Kareem left, right, at a certain point way back in the 70s, Oscar Robertson, they've got an environment now where you can see where they can attract people. Hey, they like the town, stay, we'll get your money right, let's go win some championships. So it's interesting how organization can shape that and get it right over time.
I'll say this: Brooklyn's worth $3.61 billion. Milwaukee is not.
that is true.
Milwaukee is not. Milwaukee's worth half that, and you have to ask questions, right? You got to ask, like, look, man, get in where you fit in, man. What Richard Pryor said.
And I think that's a big conversation at the pro level, right? That you either make the money or you get the ring.
Go for what you know.
No. Yeah. Get both.
Go for what you know. We'll throw it to break. Again, Barry Thompson, we appreciate you. We're going to ask you to hang out one more time. We're going to talk about your practice, your workout today, and then we're going to talk about what you're eating. We'll do both of those when we come back to close out one-on-one.
Watch live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Early break with Sip and Jake.
Yeah, we're joined by Yoshi Hardrick, former Nebraska offensive lineman, currently a Winnipeg Blue Bomber of the CFL, two-time champion. What was it like going from the Big 12 to the Big 10 1 year to the next?
Well, my first defensive end was 280 to 300 pounds. And every team we played had 2 tight ends in.
Yeah.
I was like, we're about to play some football.
Early Break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
Life after college has been great, but paying off my student loans, not so great. I needed a fast way to help pay off my loans. Then I found it, a research study at Solarium. I searched the studies and found a perfect match for me. It was so easy. I earned cash for the study and paid off those student loans. Plus, I made an impact on medical research. Find a study and sign up today at helpresearch.com.
You should consider the risks of the research before you agree to participate.
Husker fans, continue to support the Nebraska softball team during Fan Appreciation Weekend this Friday through Sunday. The team hosts Indiana in a 3-game series with giveaways each day. On Friday, the first 500 fans receive a water bottle. Come out Saturday and be one of the first 500 fans to receive a blanket. And on Sunday, if you're one of the first 500 fans, you'll get yourself a pint glass. For more information on the game, visit Huskers.com. Get your single game tickets now at Huskers.com or call 1-800-8-BIG-RED.
There's not many things worse than having plumbing issues at your home or business, but it's even worse if the problem isn't fixed correctly. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time, and they specialize in several things: general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Did you know that the U.S. has added over 1,100 new breweries in the last 18 months? Learn more by shopping at Myers Cork and Bottle, 13th and South, and by tuning into Thirsty Thursdays with Kevin Myers, because sports are better with a drink in your hand and a friend at your side.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit OStreetCarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
Now, this is Omaha South, perennial doormat, and we're in the game at Belton West. And I'll never forget it, cluster takeoff. And I'm like, I got to get him. And I didn't get him. And then the picture that they showed, and it says, Vershawn Jackson chases Cluster Johnson on his way to a 93-yard touchdown scamper.
Weekdays from 11 to 2 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Hey, it's Nicklin Hames from Nebraska Volleyball. I hate wasting time in practice, and I want to help you stop wasting your time when you're looking for an electrician. High Electric has been serving the area for over 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They are experts in everything like remodeling, new additions, hot tub installation, and more. And they take jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at high-electric.com.
You're listening to One on One with DP, presented by Beatrice Bakery on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This song came out in Barry Thompson's senior year of high school.
Damn. I mean, wow, that's so cool.
1979. It was a hit in 79.
Hey, Barry,
came out in 78. But
did he just do the Kevin Hart?
He really did. He really did. He really did.
No, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean it like that.
I said, like, damn, you look good.
So it says this says it.
No, you didn't.
This says it was released in 82, but actually it was written in 79.
Is that right? Yeah.
Written in 79.
That was your senior year of high school?
1979.
Yeah.
1979.
He had good hair, you know.
That
Looked like
was-
Mr. America.
I was big Parliament, and ladies and gentlemen,
You ready? You
I
ready?
present to you the elements of the universe.
Yes.
Earth,
You ready for this, Barry?
fire.
You ready for this, Barry? I was -14.
That's good. That's good. You know, it's sometimes in Nebraska, -14 is not a bad winter.
You know, take it as you
You're
take
not
it as
wrong.
you take it as you take it. Hey, Bay, you had an interesting workout today. Who you working out with today?
We had a young guy. We had a fellow on the. My college guys are starting to come back home, and this is a kind of unique time in my area because the CFL guys and some of the free agent guys are more out and about. CFL guys are about to go in their camps to the end of May, so they're coming out a little bit, and then free agent guys are still looking to get into this camp or that camp, and then the college guys come home. So we had a pro prospect, Guy Myers, on the field. We had Michigan State on the field. We had two kids from Kent State, one from Kent State, one from Norfolk State, and then out there working with these two fellows, a guy named Jordan Reed. And Jordan was there training the two guys. But as will happen with receivers or ex-athletes, when they see the ball thrown a certain way, you know, they kind of say, hey, let me get this rep. So,
Yeah.
He caught a couple reps from us, and he was just a real nice guy. And you know, he's out there working, and we just hooked up. And that's kind of the thing that happens in our area a lot.
Yeah, I was telling Rico, I'm like, they're your former All-Pro, just kind of hanging out with Barry, just doing his thing.
And let me give a shout out here to Jordan. Jordan is training tight ends, and so if there's anybody anywhere you want to fly and contact him and do that. If anybody's listening locally, I can't say enough about, you know, when you watch people work and you watch their demeanor, it doesn't take you long to understand that they're really good people. And Jordan is out there working with two young guys who want to get better and just teaching them the little things that are so important to playing the position. And he actually has as a client, Brian Courtney, who we talked about a year ago, and Florida State staffed them up the day after we talked about Brian Courtney on the air.
Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah, remember that?
Amazing how that happened.
They snatched him out without even looking at him. Coming on campus, they snatched him. And Brian graduated early and played in the spring game at Florida State a couple weeks ago. So Jordan Reed was on the field. Yep.
Do your thing. All right, brother. That's how we close it. What do we eat?
We're eating good this week. There are four classic Roman pastas, like, you know, Rome in Italian, and they're called, one's called cacio e pepe, Grecia, carbonara, and then the one that I worked with is, I can't pronounce it, I'll spell it slow, Amatriciana, Amatriciana, I think is how you say it. All four of those dishes have very, very similar components. If you're going to make this dish, there's pasta, there's cheese, there's something called guanciale, and I'll tell you how to substitute for that, and just a few other ingredients, and that's it. So when you go to make these dishes, I can't emphasize enough, go get something good. Like, go get a good dry pasta. And when you go to get the cheese, don't buy the grated stuff because it has stuff in there that will cake. Go spend money on a little block of cheese that's been aged. And it's a real simple dish to put together. So different versions. I used a small can of peeled tomatoes, probably about a cup of Pecorino Romano. Pecorino is a little bit different than Parmesan. Fresh block, you grate about a cup, and you want it really, really fine. So if you use that grater, the side of the grater that has a little pokey hole sticking out, that will make it fine. So you want that; it'll melt a lot easier in there. I used a half onion, a little cup of wine, and this meat called guanciale. Guanciale is a pork jowl or cheek. If you can't find it, it's maybe hard to find. You could use something like pancetta, maybe an uncured bacon, or even salami. Well, you know, good salami will do. But if you can find guanciale, please mail order it and get it. So you start the dish, you get your pasta water running. You don't want to salt it too much, just a little bit, get that up to speed. And then you stick your pasta in there. I use the pasta called bucatini, which is a fatter kind of spaghetti noodle, and it actually has a hole down through the middle, like a straw, and allows sauce to get in there, and it's a good thing. So you're going to cook it till it's about al dente with about 9 minutes or so. Now, while that's going in this pot, put a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of that guanciale or the uncured bacon or the pancetta, a little bit of half of that onion, and you let those go, and you let them kind of go until it starts to form little brown fond in the dish, and then that's when your cup of wine goes in. Turn the heat up and let that reduce down so you can kind of drag a spoon for it and it kind of separates for a second before it joins together. At that point, put your tomatoes in, and you let that boil. You want that to reduce also. You want that to thicken and reduce. All those flavors are kind of concentrating. Once you get it to that point, your pasta should be done. Put the pasta into the pan, and you've got to, and this is why you want good pasta, because you got to really mix all that stuff together. A cheap pasta will fall apart, right? You don't want to cook it too much. You want it al dente, and the cooking will finish in that pan. And then once that's done, you kind of twirl it around, put it on a plate, sprinkle it with a little bit of pecorino romano, and I'm telling you, it is fantastic.
It looks amazing. We're not surprised by it. Barry Thompson, well done once again, kind sir. Thank you for what you do, and we will do it again next Thursday.
All right. Shout out to Ambition Electric.
How about it? How about that? That's Barry Thompson. Coach Barry Thompson, Dad Barry Thompson, friend Barry Thompson. We'll toward the break. We'll come back. Thank you folks for listening to One-on-One. Captain Show up next. Sean Jackson here on 93.7 The Ticket. Don't go anywhere. We go long.